Welcome back, YouTubers. Thank you for checking out this episode of the Darwin Pond Show. All right, episode 5. Scientist log. Lab date 1.5. Strange species have arisen and are attempting to take control of the lab. Yeah, it was really sad. Just ignore that. I'm not going to delete it just because it was a moment of corniness, but that's your brain on drugs. Kids, don't take that for granted. All right, so last episode we had the same cycle going on. A bunch of species up north are dying off. Pockets going down south towards the new food source. The angelfish and the triple strokers are the two dominant species at this point, and barring a successful advantageous mutation, which I don't. It have to be. It doesn't happen very often when you see that, and I think that's true in nature too. Mutations usually don't work out too well. But it happens. This is more of a refinement, the best fit of a particular species, perfecting that species. Yeah, the angelfish is that motion's getting very fluid. And I see a few that have a broader sweep on those back tails too. They got like a lazy limb though. There's two that cross and go behind their body, like that one crossing the center right now, and then there's one that kind of drags and drifts. If they could, a mutation that allowed that angle at the top of that lazy limb to fold in more, that would give them a little bit more propulsion when they swing those limbs back and forth. See what's going on down here. Triple strokers and angelfish all mingling. So I think we're going to see a hybrid of these two species as they compete and mingle for food, and we'll see what comes out of that. Colors are all over the map right now, though. No particular tribe that seems to be having the advantage at the moment. Yeah, a lot of color variation, especially with these species that are all multicolored, all mixing together. It's going to create even more variance. You never know what you're going to get. Swimmers are like a box of colors. I don't know. That's all I got. Oh well. Yeah, I'm still seeing the angelfish with that. What I was talking about earlier, last episode, I think, about the lazy limb. Or was that this episode? I don't remember. Yeah, the lazy limb. You can see some of the angelfish as they swim. They got a limb that kind of doesn't quite fold in behind their body like two of them do. It just kind of drags out lazily. And that's obviously they're using energy to move it, but it's not really giving them that much propulsion. Oh, there's a couple there you can see. See that one right there on the left there? That limb's going in a little bit more, giving it some thrust. And those swimmers are getting efficient too with that motion. North looks like a graveyard up there. As they consume all that food, that open land will start to populate with new food, and you've seen it already. That's the cycle. Oh, look at this crush, though, going into the bottom left. Lots of different species, lots of different colors. Yep. Well, not lots of different species. Strike that. Angelfish and triple stroker and all the variations thereof with speed and all that other stuff. But yeah, all the color mixing, all the motion, all the subtle variations on those two main species. A lot of different colors. And there's some that are following those small food bits up north. That's a death sentence. At least right now it is anyway. There's not a lot of grazing pasture up there. It is tempting to intervene to some extent, like I want to drop in other species and see what happens. But I've done that so much, I want to got the plan, naturally evolve a species here and then introduce a parasite and see if they can survive the parasite. There are few who can. No, I guess I can elaborate a little bit on that. I think I told you it's a worm. It's a single-limbed, all red creature. I call it the red worm, well, the fireworm, and it's been bred. I've tried it in almost every environment, variation of the ecology I can, tweaking here and there. I've provided food and by itself provided food in a stable environment to let it perfect its swimming motion against its own species several times. I've introduced it into existing ponds all the time to see how it works, and if it fails, I'll tamper with the genetics and try it in certain environments that make it extremely difficult to survive. And I think it's really the ultimate killing machine. I don't know. It just outcompetes. I look forward to showing it later on, but that's not for a little bit. We have to get to the point in this pond where we have a single species. Doesn't have to be homogeneous in color, but a single type of species, like in here, whether it's the triple stroke or angelfish or some hybrid thereof. Once we get the pond full of, or almost completely full of one particular species, that's when we'll know who the season one survivor is, and then we'll test them against the parasite, the red worm, the fireworm, and we'll see how they hold up. And I think what I'll do is, if we end up eventually getting a species that can, the fireworm can't outcompete it, and it ends up, the fireworm either ends up being marginalized or going extinct, then we'll know who the newest badass on the block is. But so far, I haven't found anything like that. And I don't know if I mentioned too, whatever the season one survivor is, again, whether it's triple stroke or angelfish, some hybrid thereof, whatever, we're going to save the DNA file of that creature. And in the next season's pond, we will introduce a breeding pair of that survivor with a randomized batch of swimmers. And we'll see if we can, further hone the survivor each season into something greater, a new environment, new competition. And maybe it'll be able to beat the parasite at some point. Maybe we can naturally evolve something over the course of the trials, different environments, that can outdo something that I made synthetically, something that's been altered heavily in both its environment and its genetics. I don't know. Haven't run that type of experiment yet. Haven't run one that was all natural, progressive, so to speak. We evolve one, put it in a new environment, evolve it, put it in a new environment, and have this refined thing that was, within the confines of Darwin Pond is arguably the survival of the fittest, natural selection, best organism to survive without any intervention at all. And then see if, I don't know, see if it can compete with intervening. Maybe there's a greater theme there, right? Laws of nature against, I don't know, a mad scientist. Well, it goes so far. Of course, we got a programmed simulation environment here, and while the variables are tiny, I do think that the concept of modeling physical bodies using fluid dynamics is effective, and keeping it simple. Look for food, look for mates, and then combining the genetics in a predictable way with some random elements. I think that's a pretty good system for a simple evolution simulation. Wow, there's a lot of people dying off down there. Whoa. That's a mass extinction right there. ELE. We got the stragglers that found their way north. And I can see angelfish and triple strokers. And that poor guy out on the right by himself. We got a patch of food, but nobody to breed with. Yep, there's the pioneers heading up in the top left, right into the middle of that pasture. Let's take a look at these guys. Yeah, you got some angelfish going up there. But those spearhead ones are definitely all triple strokers. A couple out there by themselves. Oh yeah. Bye bye. Sayonara, guys. Let's take a look at these folks. Pretty good. Looks like they're actually using. Remember a while ago they had a limb that wasn't quite coming forward all the way. You can see that it looks like there's some evolution there forward, some perfecting of that where that third limb is folding in and being used more efficiently. And the motion too, it comes up quickly and then it folds in behind it. If they could leave that bottom limb, that bottom joint, the fourth limb or whatever, the fourth segment, if they could have that fan out more when they pulled it down as more like a paddle or an oar, they would get some serious thrust going on there. That might be the next, adaptation that you see here. That limb being able to bend the other way so that as it comes down, the resistance of the fluid against it makes it real good friction, gives it that thrust. Oh yeah, look at all these guys. Look at that swimming motion there. That's pretty good. Stroke, stroke, stroke. Got some scattered angelfish there. Oh, got a little family there making their way. They might do all right. There's some food up there. That guy's by himself. What the hell is wrong with you, dude? And there's an example of mutation at its work. No good. These poor guys. Oh, look at that. Angelfish and strokers running for the food. Angelfish are gonna get it. And then this little branch over here is going for there's a run of food up in that area they're gonna get their hands on first, and those are all triple strokers. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know how many angelfish are going to survive this one. They're not in a advantageous position at the moment. See who's over here. More of those triple stroker fellas. Yep, all of them. Huh? No angelfish over there. And you can see there, lead guy grabbed the food. Oh yeah, not many angelfish in an area, in a possibility to compete here. And the more that those triple strokers breed, the more refinement you're going to see on that swimming motion. And then you can see a couple of them there racing for food, and you'll be able to see the one that gets ahead and is going to be able to pass on their genetics. Boom. Immediately turns around, looks for a mate. And I think I mentioned earlier that mating consumes energy from both parties. So if there's one lagging behind and can't get to the food fast enough, and the ones in front of them get to the food, they're going to turn around and possibly mate with that swimmer, further depleting his food, making it difficult for him to reproduce and pass on his genetics, or its genetics rather, whatever. Yep, there's going to be a crush up there again, and I think it looks like we're going to say the triple strokers are going to end up getting dominance in this pond. There's very few angelfish in a position here to compete. We might see the emergence of potentially the dominant species of the pond here very, very shortly. Any bets? Any bets at all? All right. Till next time. That's it for this episode of the Darwin Pond Show. Thank you for tuning in, and there'll be a new episode coming soon.